Now let's turn our attention to South America, to Venezuela, where President Nicolas Maduro is at it again. Venezuela is set to go to polls soon. Maduro has a tough fight on his hands. So what does he do? Stir up trouble with the neighbor. Venezuela has a territorial dispute with neighboring Guyana. It's a small country of less than 1 million people and an area of about 215,000 square kilometers. But Venezuela claims over 2/3 of Guyana. It claims an oil-rich region called Essequibo. This dispute has existed for almost 200 years, and yet it is now, on the eve of elections, that Venezuela has formally declared Essequibo a state, escalating tensions when it should be preparing for elections. Here's our report.
It's been approved unanimously. Consequently, the organic law for the defense of Guyana Essequibo is declared approved.
And with that, Venezuela kicked up a hornet's nest. It has once again angered its neighbor, Guyana. Caracas has declared that 2/3 of the neighboring country is a new Venezuelan state. The region is called Essequibo. It has been the object of a 2-century-long dispute, and now Venezuela has unilaterally tried to change the status quo. To add to the insult, Venezuela has named the state Guyana Essequibo. Imagine someone stealing your land and then naming it after you. Venezuela seems to be itching for a fight. Now technically, Venezuela has not taken over the land. Not yet anyway. Essequibo is still administered by Guyana. Caracas hasn't sent in the army to annex the territory. But by declaring it a state and saying that they have a right to defend it, Venezuela has escalated tensions. And it has raised the specter of conflict. So why is Venezuela doing this? Why does it claim the land? And is the claim legitimate? These are tricky questions, because the dispute is older than the countries of Venezuela and Guyana. It stretches back to the 1800s, when both nations were European colonies. Venezuela was a Spanish colony. Guyana was first a Dutch territory, then the British took over. That's when the problem began. Britain were mapping the new acquisition, they walked into Spanish territory and thought it belonged to them. They drew up new maps, and Essequibo was considered a part of British Guyana. Basically, a mapping error has led to a centuries-long dispute, which is British colonialism in a nutshell. However it happened, Guyana has governed Essequibo for almost 200 years. The region makes up 2/3 of Guyana. So, does Venezuela have the right to take over? Should Guyana be punished for the crimes of the British? These are questions the world has been struggling with. The US played mediator back in 1899. The United Nations had their say in 1966. And in 2018, the International Court of Justice was dragged in. But Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro doesn't want outside interference. He held a dubious referendum in December, and then claimed that Venezuelans wanted him to reclaim the territory. He has been sending troops to the border and expanding military bases. Now, Venezuela's parliament has formally declared Essequibo a state. Why is Maduro escalating tensions? Well, one thing to note is that Essequibo is full of oil. Guyana has also seen a boom in oil production, with the influx of firms like American giant ExxonMobil. For the last 3 months, Guyana has exported more oil than Venezuela. And Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. Their exports have slumped because of US sanctions on Maduro, and likely competition from Guyana. So, is this a move to take out the competition, or is it a distraction? Venezuela goes to polls in July. Reports say Maduro is losing support. So, is Essequibo a way for Maduro to unite Venezuelans behind him? There are many questions, and no one seems to have the answers. But one thing is clear, the world cannot afford another war.